Okay, welcome to Bitrix24 Live. I'm Damien Edwards, Commercial Manager of Bitrix24 Bitrix24 Partners Interface. We are based in the UK and we have offices in the US and the UAE. Our contact details are on the screen right now. We're going to answer any questions that you post in the chat window. If you want to post them in the chat box on YouTube, we'll answer those questions. We've also got some questions that have come in via email earlier on, so we'll answer those ones straight off. But if you want to get in touch with us during this session, post in the chat window. If you want to get in touch with us afterwards for a one-to-one demo, then you can do that by contacting us on those contact details there. We've got sales@interface.com or any of those local telephone numbers. We can arrange a one-to-one demonstration to show you specifically what you're looking at or which features you're looking at. So we have some questions, I think, that have already come in. How do I set permissions for my sales team in the CRM? Let's have a look. So we've actually got standard permissions which exist within Bitrix. I've actually got something I can show you on this, which is a plugin which we've developed, which gives you some more additional features on the CRM permission side. But if we go into settings and into permissions, so you need to be an administrator to be able to access this sections, and into permissions. So we have roles, we have roles over here, and then you assign a role to an individual, a department, or a group of users. Let's have a look at a role. You create any number of roles that you want. Down the left hand side we have the different modules that exist within the CRM and across the different permissions that you can assign. So things like read, the ability to be able to add new records, the ability to be able to update them, delete, export, and import those. And then within each, you've got the options, these options here. So I think generally within sales teams, for something like a contact, the option to be able to update information within a contact for records that belong to yourself and also records that belong to other people within the same department is quite common. One thing I'll just point out is when it comes to deals have different pipelines, or you can create different pipelines, multiple pipelines. So all those pipelines that you create, they have their own set of permissions, and within deals you have stages, so each of those stages then has the option to be able to set individual permissions based on the stage. And I think the only one that we normally point out is this update column here. So let's say a deal gets to, let's close that one down, look in a different deal. Let's say a deal gets to the stage 1 or closed here. What you might want to do is just prevent people from updating that deal at that stage. So you might just want to say, it might want to go to personal or access denied. So that would just prevent people from being able to change a deal when it's won or lost. So it kind of locks it down. So you can get into quite a lot of detail on exact permissions. So those are the standard permissions with this area. Let me just go back and I'll show you how to assign those permissions. So you created your role, you then assign those roles to an individual or group of users. So I would select my users group or department, usually department. So select my HR department here, and then I'll give them a role based on one that I've already created over here. So those are the standard permissions that exist within the CRM. We have developed an advanced permissions module, which is a plugin which you can buy from ourselves. It's only available for the self-hosted edition, but it allows you to create, have a bit more flexibility about permissions on fields. So it allows you to create, make them individual fields a required field. And let me just show you what you can do. So again, you can create your individual roles within here. We just go into and then you can create an individual role, and then you can assign a rule to a role. Let's go into the rules; it'll make more sense. Let's add a new rule so you can see what you can do. So we can create a rule based on any of these modules. Let's say we're creating a rule based on the companies. So you can select your permission level. So the additional ones we have are things like required. So you can make this a mandatory field, has to be populated, and you can use any of those other permissions. So I can select my fields, and you can select multiple numbers of fields in here, and then you've got this option. So this is unique to our plugin. You've got the option to be able to select different sites. So this applies if you have an enterprise license. So the Bitrix enterprise license allows you to create multiple different instances, which essentially are separate intranet systems, but it doesn't have the ability to create separation in the CRM. Using this plugin, you can assign permissions to different sites. So essentially it means that enterprise is used by businesses that have multiple companies or subsections of companies, and they want to keep those separate. So this allows you to create different permissions on fields based on within different companies, essentially having full separation within the CRM. There is just one more thing that you can do within this, which you can't do in the standard Bitrix permissions, and that is create a condition on a rule. So it allows you to add a condition using PHP code. We can help you write these lines of code, but many people that we deal with have in-house guys that are able to write short lines of PHP code. So essentially you can use some conditions that might hide a field based on the value of another field, or it might populate a field based on the value of another field. So if we're looking at a deal, if a deal value is over $1,000, we might want to populate this field with some text that says sort of a high value lead or something different. But essentially it has the ability to be able to populate leads based on looking at information from other fields. So that's a really useful feature that we get asked for a lot. Has a lot of different uses, I think. Okay.
Had some more questions coming during the week. One from someone working from home and asking, how do I set up a chat with my colleagues? So Bitrix is a great tool for chatting and collaborating with the rest of your team in the system. And one way we can do this is if we go into our chat area of the system. What we can do is we can create different types of chats on Bitrix. So it might be a one-on-one chat with a colleague, so you can create a personal chat. We can then search in the system for our colleague that we want to chat to. So we can then create that chat, and then it's an instant messaging system. So we can then communicate with Mark as the example here. So I can add my message, and that will then be fed into Mark's conversation stream here. So we can have that internal communication, and we can also not just chat, we can also upload documents if we need to discuss any documents that we're working on. And we can also have a video call. So we could do maybe a conference call, and then maybe that we also want to invite some additional members of our team into this conversation. So we can use the invite button here. We could add additional colleagues into that chat. So it can be a group of people for that collaboration. We can invite those into that conversation. And with the video calling in the new update that Bitrix are releasing, we can have up to 24 users on that video conference call. So it's, especially right now with a lot of people remote working, it's a great tool for collaboration and keeping in touch with the rest of the team.
Okay, can I make certain fields required at certain stages of a lead? You can. If we go into leads and open up a lead, then if we add a new field in here, let's add a text field. So you can add a field that is a standard field that can be populated or not. But if I select on required at this stage, that will mean that the record cannot be edited and resaved unless this field is populated with some information when the lead is at that stage or any stage following on from that. So that's this stage. So in this case, when it's a new inquiry, you can leave this field blank. Once it gets progressed to the second stage, it would need to be populated. That's quite a useful permission to be able to use inside, and you can do that in any CRM record, I think.
Okay, another question that came in during the week regarding live chat. So how do I choose who live chat requests are routed to? So it's quite a common question. We may have specific members of the team who are responsible for managing any live chat requests. So if we go into the contact center, this is where we can see our live chat widget. So we have the live chat widget here. And what we can do is we can configure the settings on that live chat system. So here we can choose the members of the team here that are responsible for managing any live chat inquiries. So we can simply go into here and select which members of our team are responsible for managing and replying to those live chat requests. And we can also go into some more detail and set further permissions on those as well.
Okay, I am an administrator and I want to set our fields in a certain way inside contacts, so all users see them. How do I do that? So these are all questions about sort of CRM layouts and permissions, but you can do that also. You can create, I think you're asking, you want to create a layout and then all users see the same layout. You can certainly do that on any CRM module. So if you're an administrator, you have the option up here to edit the common form view. So we have a my form view and a common form view. So every user has the option to be able to switch between, to toggle between these two views. And if I'm in my form view, any user here can move these fields around like this. They can add additional fields and they can hide or remove fields, and they see their own view and nobody else sees that. They've got the option to switch back to common form view, but only administrators are able to edit the fields when you're in, or edit which fields are shown when you're in common form view. So really, I mean, there's nothing really you need to do, provided you're an administrator and you'll select a common form view. Any changes you make to the layout, so if I select some additional fields in the layout here, they automatically are going to be shown to all other users, because you're an administrator able to edit the common form view. You can create, add additional fields. You can create any number of these sections on the left hand side. I can add an additional section like this, and you can move fields around those sections to organise how your data is shown. So in case you don't know, on a CRM record, all the information, contact information and other information about that business is on the left hand side, and the right hand side is all the activity. So planned activity at the top, calls that are booked in, tasks that are outstanding, and then below that all the historical activities, so emails, phone calls, notes, text messages, etc. all sits on the right hand side there.
Okay. So I've had a question on how can I share documents with my clients. I think this really depends where the type of documentation. I mean, in the CRM system, we can generate quotes and invoices and send those out to our clients. But it sounds like you're wanting to almost collaborate with your clients. So the real way we would manage this is within a project. So what we can do is we can invite in our clients into a project. So for example, if we just go to show you how you can create those inside Bitrix. If you're wanting to maybe invite your clients into a project so you can collaborate and there is a feature to share documents, we will create what we call an external project. And this enables us to invite our clients or third parties into a specific project that we're working on with them. And the great feature is there's no limit to the number of external users you can invite into the system. It's a fully secure area where they can share and collaborate on that project. So if we just have a look at an external project, what we can do is we have what we call the drive area inside a project, and this is where we can store documents, files and folders. And what we can do is on those folders, as an example, we can set permissions, and based on those permissions we can then grant access for external users to be able to see, or maybe we can share full access on those files and folders. So you can set the permission level that your clients can access those folders on the Drive module.
Okay, hi there. Do you know how to see and reply to emails from iOS Bitrix24 mobile app? So we haven't got the mobile app plugged into the screen at the moment, so we can't show you, but I'm pretty sure that you can't access mail, emails on the mobile app. So you can, of course, in the desktop version, you can access mail here, and you can use Bitrix as your main email client, or you can use it as alongside Outlook or Gmail or another email client that you're using. So you can access it on the browser. I'm pretty sure you can't access it within the Bitrix mobile app. So yeah, I mean, if you're using Bitrix solely for email, then you're going to be limited a little bit on the app to be able to access that. I think most people we deal with continue to use Gmail or Outlook or something, and use Bitrix. Really, they set up their Bitrix their email account within Bitrix so that it syncs emails to the contact in the CRM. Also allows you to then, in the CRM, it allows you to send emails as well, which might be quicker than jumping out of the CRM and going into your Gmail and sending the email. So once I'm in a contact, I can send an email here, and you can select templates to do. You can select templates quite easily. You can also, as part of a automatic process, you could also send emails out from the system using a template like this, based on things like deal stages. So when a deal gets to this stage, for instance, that could automatically send an email to the customer. Email is used in order to store a copy of that against the CRM contact and for automation like this, but as a standalone client, it's good inside the browser, but I don't think you can do that, unfortunately, on the app. It's probably something that's is going to come. But I mean, I might be wrong. I don't think you can use.
No, I don't,
No,
yeah, don't
don't think you can.
No.
Currently.
Yeah.
I just put our contact details up on the screen, so you can get in touch with us if you want one-to-one demo. If you let us know what your particular requirements are, then we'll set up a demonstration that shows you exactly how that would work inside Bitrix. We're happy to go into quite a lot of detail exactly how it would work for you. So get in touch with us if you want to do that, or post your questions inside the chat window if you've got any questions. So we'll stay online until we run out of questions. So sales targets. How can I set sales targets for my sales team? To do that?
Yeah. So we'll have a look at. So it's quite a good feature in Bitrix if you're wanting to set targets for your team, closing deals, being able to see where they are in the pipelines throughout that given time period that you're wanting to set those targets for. So what we can do is, if we go into the analytics module, so the CRM analytics module, it will feed all of the data and information from the CRM system. So they are linked together. What we can do, if we go into what we call our sales plan, we can then in here set out our targets for the sales team. So what we can do is we can select here who in the team we are setting those targets for. So we can select all of our members of the sales team, and we can then choose here the actual time period that we're wanting to set those targets for. So maybe for the quarter or for each particular month. So in here for August we can do that, but let's say we want to set this for next month, so we can set those targets for September. And you can also decide the actual way we're reporting on the target. So is it based on the total sales figures in the deal, or is it actually based on just the actual number of deals that the salesperson has closed during that time period? So you can decide exactly how you want to build this target report. And we have all of our employees, and then what we can do for each of our employees, we can set their target in the system. So maybe you want to have maybe the same for each of your members of the sales team, or you might want to, maybe for a new starter, they have a slightly reduced target for that month. So you can customize those targets in the system. And then once that's set, your targets are then ready for that next month. So in September, we've got that ready. We can see what the balance is for the month. And if we currently look at August, you can see how well each member of your team is tracking to their given target. So we can see, for example, Max Smith is 40% of the way to his target. And you can also see the overall team progression for that month in the system.
Okay, how do I find fields I want to use for document templates? So let's go into, so within the CRM you can create documents on pretty much any module, and dynamically generate a PDF document or Word document, pulling in data from any field that you want to select. So how you select the fields. So go into documents up here. So we select on this drop down here, sorry, documents here. You'll see that tab at the top. Click into documents, and click into add new template. Okay, so you'll see a series of templates in here. The first thing to do is to download these and review which one is closest to what you want, and then you need to customize that. So you can customize it in Word format, easily in Word format, and then you can re-upload it, save it as a new name, and then you've got a new template. So you upload the new documents here, click here to download them. So download it, edit it, re-upload it, give it a new name, and then you've got a new template. It's in here that the fields are, so click on the settings up here and click on fields, and then this brings in the references that you can use. So things like start date, so if you're doing a quote, you might want to have this date featured prominently on the quote, so you just need to use this reference here inside curly brackets in your Word document, and that will be replaced with the date if it's populated, the start date that you have inside the lead or the deal or whichever record you're using. It's quite a lot of fields, I think, in there, so
Yeah.
Large number of fields.
Okay. So another question come in regarding the drive module. So can you explain how the drive module works inside Bitrix? This is a really useful tool for storing and being able to share documents and files with the rest of your team. And there's two different areas in the drive module. So first of all we have is what we call the My Drive area. And this is your own personal area for storing files and folders. So for example, maybe that you store your contract in your personal drive area. So we can see all of those in the system here in My Drive. We can also connect with either your local area to upload files and folders, or we also have integrations with external drives such as Google Docs. And maybe on these files here, for example, if you say have a contract, you might want to share this with specific members of your team. So maybe say the HR manager or your manager if you're sharing the contract. So what we can do is we could share particular files with members of our team. And just like we saw with the sharing documents with our clients, you can set the level of permission that user can have on that particular file.
Okay, I want to upgrade my cloud account to a new on-premise account with Bitrix. Can I migrate my data? So you can do this reason why you might want to choose to upgrade to an on-premise is a few different reasons. One of them might be just that you want to know or have control over where your data is held. So a lot of businesses that we deal with in the financial sector and some other government sectors want to know that their data is held in a specific location or on site in their offices. So if you have an on-premise edition, that allows you to do that. Additionally, the on-premise edition has access to all the code, so it can be customized extensively, and there are some other additional features that you can access on the on-premise, including branding as well. So you can change the branding, so you can remove most of the Bitrix branding and add your own branding, which is particularly useful if you want to invite clients or suppliers and things into your portal area. They can access it through a branded login page. So you can do that. You can run on the cloud, and then if you contact us, we can set up an on-premise instance for you. We'd either host it in our own data center, or we'd install it on your server for you. If we're hosting in our data center, we can choose any region in the world, so it can be UK, Europe, US, etc., etc. So you can choose where that data is held and kept for your compliance reasons. So we can install an on-premise edition for you, and when you're ready, we can migrate the data from Bitrix and the Bitrix cloud to your new on-premise edition. We do need to request that from Bitrix, so there's potentially a little bit of time between your cloud account essentially going offline and your new self-hosted coming online. So we need to download from the cloud account and re-upload that data, import that data into the self-hosted. But it usually doesn't take more than a day to do that. So small bit of downtime to migrate from one to the other, but it is a straightforward process.
Okay. So question around tasks, so around project management. How do I create a subtask? So it may be that in the system you want to have a parent task and then a collection of subtasks associated to that parent task in the system. And that's possible. So if we go inside one of our projects, we can have a look at how we can create those subtasks in the system. So inside a project, we have our task module. So this is a key area inside a project where we can manage all of our tasks in the system. So if we just look at those currently that we're working on, we can see all of those tasks in the system. And you can see on the financial reports area here, there's a plus button. So we can see when you have created subtasks, you can see the association between the parent and the subtask in the system. But if you wanted to create a new subtask, what we can do is we can go to the new task area where we can create that task. So you can add all the information that is associated to that task. And what we can do is we can use the section here where we can choose which task this is actually going to be associated with. So we can then select the overall parent task, and that's then associated like so.
Okay, how do I manually add time to a task if I forget to add this using the clock feature? So you can do that in time, and then you can add in if you didn't add the time in yesterday, if you didn't clock in yesterday, you can go back, add that, put date in, and then you can put a comment in there if you require. So that's going to add, this little exclamation mark means that it's been added manually, not live, using the sort of start and pause and finish feature. So yeah.
How easy is it to integrate data from an existing CRM into the Bitrix CRM system? So it may be that you're moving across to the Bitrix CRM system. In terms of being able to import data, we can import contact and company information very, very easily using a CSV import. So if we go into our CRM, what we can do is, if we go to our cogwheel here, we can import via a CSV. And what we would recommend, first of all, you can set out your custom fields in the CRM system, and then from there, once you've added all of those fields, we could then take an export of all of those fields, and you then add your data onto that CSV. You can map out into the correct fields and then simply upload that CSV back into the CRM system, and all of your information will then be imported into the CRM, ready to be used.
Okay, we've not got many questions coming in on YouTube, but we have got one final question that came in via email. But if you've got any questions, then post them in now. We'll finish if we don't get any more questions. So this is quite a good question. Is there a way to automatically delete leads after a period of time if they have not progressed into a deal? So there is. So what you probably want to do with a lead in terms of sort of automation is you want to make sure that people are following them up, but after a period of time that you choose, then they're probably going to be dead leads, and so you want to clear them out. So if you go into a lead, click into automation, and then click into configure automation rules. I guess, like say, in terms of following up, probably what you want to do is put some sort of control in so that the lead doesn't stick at this new inquiry stage, and actually people are following up and adding some activity and progressing it through these stages. So what you can do is put in a control here. So what this does is says the lead is not progressing, and it will send a notification to the supervisor. It's just a notification within the system if the lead doesn't. I mean, in this case, it's immediately what you actually want to do is put in a time period. So probably go 5 days. Oops, let me just select that. 5 days. So 5 days after the lead was created, if it hasn't progressed beyond this initial stage, then a supervisor is going to be notified. So that would be one of the common things. The other common thing, as you've asked for, is to delete a lead if it doesn't win after a certain period of time. In fact, you're going to have to put this into every stage, aren't we? There's no other way of doing that, I don't think. So you'd have to, you'd have to put in another action block, which would be delete CRM record here, and again, you can choose your time period. Let's on this one do 10 days and select, and that's it. So I mean, you can put in some conditions, additional conditions in here. Without a condition, if this lead doesn't progress beyond this stage after 10 days, it will delete, and you can do that at each stage apart from the won and lost, I guess. But you could also add some conditions in as well. So if you've got some, if you've got some values or things like that in there, then if we have a value in here, but if you had a lead value, you could say, if this is beyond this value, more than this value, then, or less than this value, then delete it. Maybe if it's more, then you'd keep it on for a little bit longer. Or let's say we're doing it based on an individual user. So what I'm saying here is that provided the leads are responsible to Max Smith, then they're not progressed within 10 days, then we're going to delete that. Another way round on that might be actually does not equal, so that might be it. Max Smith does not equal to Max Smith. So Max Smith might be the sales manager who handles high value leads, and so you want to leave those, but every other lead that's not progressed after 10 days you want to close down. In fact, I've done delete CRM record. You probably wouldn't do that. You'd probably actually just move it to lost. Let me just show you that just quickly. You probably actually, instead of deleting it, you probably want to keep it. You probably just change the stage. Change stage.
Status.
Change status. Yeah. So you probably actually just want to change it to lost. Do the same thing in here. Add your condition if you want. That way, instead of actually permanently deleting it, you just change it to lost, and you've got that record in there. So it's probably a better way of doing it. So
a question on YouTube, right? The new features that Bitrix release, is there a time frame for those coming out to beta stage? I think it just depends on the feature. Bitrix do have a plan for when each of those features are released. They will be released on the cloud system first, before then being added to the on-premise edition. But I believe it's within a few weeks or a few months, is it, for the features to be updated?
Yeah, it depends on the individual ones, to be honest. So is there a time frame for section to come out of beta stage? So it depends which one it is, but if you watch the last Bitrix presentation product release, then they do have a chart on there that explains when they're expecting the features to become live, so you could probably refer back to that. How do you think you compare to Pipedrive? Well, I couldn't comment specifically on that. It would depend on what features you're using. So if you want to get in touch with us and explain what it is you want to get out of the CRM I'm guessing you're using, then we would demo our solution to you, and you can make your decision based on a demo from Pipedrive and a demo from ourselves. So it really depends on what it is you're trying to achieve, which features you're using. Couldn't comment on the price. I don't know how it compares on price with Pipedrive. That also depends on, I guess, which features you're using. If Pipedrive charge by feature and how many users you've got, things like that. So it's difficult to do a comparison, but I'm pretty confident that we can demonstrate the value of Bitrix if you want to get in touch with us, and we'll give you a one-to-one demo. You say also, if I switch, can I import my data? Yeah, if you can export from Pipedrive, you can import into Bitrix. Really, whether Pipedrive allow you to export your data, I guess they probably do. You can import that data into Bitrix. If we're talking about CRM data, you import companies' contacts, your leads, deals, quotes. You can import all those things into Bitrix. Yeah. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any further questions, so we'll leave it there. Thanks for your time. As I said a couple of times, got contact details up. If you want to get in touch with us for a one-to-one demo, you can get in touch on sales@intraface.com or any of those local telephone numbers. But thanks for your time. Bye for now.
Thanks, guys.